Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you right now Indiana's next United States Senator, Mike Braun.
Go home. There we go. What a journey this has been. You know, when I started kicking the tires almost a year ago, just like building a business, you've got to have a game plan, you got to have a dream, you got to have a great strategy, and you got to execute. And rousing introduction like I just got from the governor, and you got a team like Kyle has got here that puts on an event like this. Mayor, wonderful venue. I think folks are going to start coming to Southern Indiana, maybe stopping at Jasper on the way. It's a great place. If you do, I'll take you out to eat at the Schnitzelbank, not all of you at the same time. You know, when I decided to do it, President Trump, whatever you think, it's finally great to see somebody that says something, does it, and checks it off the list. Isn't that refreshing? That was an inspiration for me to do it. And we've heard it earlier, you know, Neil Gorsuch, tax reform, I'm gonna get back to that later. Unraveling regulations that weigh us all down. Work yet to be done. We got to secure the border, solve all those problems associated with it. And that's going to be a task. We've got to undo one of the biggest boondoggles in the history of government, Obamacare. But we got to have a plan to replace it. So if you want to really, I think, see what somebody's going to do, you ought to look at what they've done. And I'm going to give you a little history on why I ended up back in Jasper, Indiana, what I did there in that time, and why that's going to apply to what you're going to expect out of me as a U.S. Senator. Maureen and I both grew up there, went to grade school together, high school together. 5 of us went to Wabash College on a pre-med curriculum. The other 4 were doctors. I probably wouldn't have gone to Wabash unless I had a girlfriend at IU. I'm going to admit it. But it worked out. I went to Harvard Business School, summa cum laude with an econ degree at Wabash. And then we moved back to our hometown. And people were wondering what's wrong. Well, you sometimes can't see clearly what your future is going to look like until you spend it somewhere else. And there was no doubt about it. Our number one priority, we wanted to raise a family. And you know that Jasper, Indiana, where the schools are great, where you really don't lock your doors, where you still family, faith, community, the 3 most important things. So I don't know if we had an epiphany or how we made that decision, dear, but smartest thing we ever did. She'll celebrate her 40th year this September with her only job with a home accessory and gift store on our downtown square. Isn't that something? I avoided Wall Street and, you know, big corporations and was hired by a company where the guy said, you stick around and you'll run it someday. Well, it was $26 million when I left it. It's now $2.7 billion, the largest kitchen cabinet company in the country. I'm not working there. I left there in '81. You wonder if you made the right decision. Well, I wanted to do my own thing. A little business came available. My dad had a half ownership in, floundering. The year of '81, you remember when interest rates were a bargain at 10%, they went up to 20? That's when I was dished out, and within 6 months, the business was circling the drain. So what I do now was to keep that business afloat, and we did other things. And the reason I mention it, That's the kind of thinking on your feet. Things generally don't go right. You got to react, you got to take risk, you got to get things done. We do it in the state of Indiana. Look what we did when our roads and bridges were falling apart. That wasn't an easy thing to do. I'm a fiscal conservative, but you got to know the difference between an investment in something that's going to last and raising taxes where you consume it and you have nothing to show for it, like the federal government, and then you borrow the money to do it, you lay it on future generations. Nobody else can do that. I probably will understand that as well as anybody that's been in the U.S. Senate, because the first 17 years of my entrepreneurial career, that's the way it was. And had a friend after I won the primary. He said, "Mike, you've come a long way. I remember when your business was in that building built in 1937, and your office was in a mobile home next to that building, and you kept your records in the bathtub." That was such a distant memory, but it was a metaphor for the way life generally works. It takes time, patience, perseverance. 3 of my 4 kids work in the business. They learned the principles when they were young. My 2 sons, not my daughter, when they asked for an allowance, I said, "I got a better idea." We live on a farm where we had just cut some timber. A lot of treetops needed to be cut up. I said, "I'm going to help you start your first business," and my one son was 14 years old and the other one 11. I did a lot of the work, but they started J&J Firewood Services. Well, they learned the principles of earning a paycheck, working for it. One son is now the chief operating officer of Meyer Distributing, and the other one runs our technology. And my daughter, my baby, started working for me. 3 of my 4 kids have come back to my hometown, which is what we've been talking about. We need to figure out how to do that. I've lived through this and proud of it. Life is never a certainty. You got to stick your neck out like we did with long-term road funding, like I've done my entire life to take a business with 15 employees, and of those 15, it was me, a salesman, and a truck driver. Now I got 350 truck drivers, and you ought to try to get along with that group. When you figure that out, you got something going. We pay the highest wage in the lowest unemployment county in the state, which is 2%, by the way, and Jasper's probably got a 1% unemployment rate. And we know how to do it. We compete the old-fashioned way. We bid up the cost of labor, and I'm happy to pay it. That's the way life works. Here in my main task, retiring Joe Donnelly. I'm not going to repeat all of his weaknesses. Ronna did a good job at it. And it goes a long way. I don't think she mentioned that he's voted to fund Planned Parenthood, and that his enterprise, that he can claim he's a part of, outsourced jobs to Mexico at $1 or $2 an hour. You know, and he's going to have to talk about that when he's already trying to smear, you know, what I've done in my hometown, where I got 85% of the vote. So I think that's a testament to what we've done there, and I'm going to make that argument. You know, we heard some other stuff about what's the next act. We are in a great place now, but I've always told my kids, whatever's working well now, don't count on it in 5 years, because it's not going to be as robust, it's not going to be there. I was so disappointed when I heard that if only millennials voted for our president, he would have carried just 2 states, West Virginia and Kentucky. Kyle, others have referenced, what are we going to do to take everything we know that works, make sure the next generation gets involved? We also got to make sure, with all the success that we have enjoyed, that we get others on the bandwagon. So I'm going to take and litigate the case to make sure we retire Joe Donnelly. I'm going to offer this up. for all of you to think about, and especially fellow business owners. We've never had an easier way to put our money where our mouth is than with tax reform, the signature piece of legislation, in my mind, that's come along since the Reagan years. I really believe it. When that happened, we added to our 401k plan and lowered health care costs by $1,400 per family. And we know early out of the gate, we heard a lot of big companies, Indiana companies do the same thing. We need to do that across the board between now and the midterms, and there is no way people that are in the middle and slightly, even some conservative Democrats, will vote for more of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And, yeah. So we will get that done, and I'm going to press that message. I already did in front of Vice President Pence when he did a fundraiser in Indy, and I think that's a smart thing to do. You can count on me. I'm going there for the right reasons, not the perks and the pay. My own company, we flattened executive pay many years ago to where I'll be getting a raise if I become a U.S. Senator. Wait till the Democrats chew on that one. And you can count on me to, when I become a senator, just how I've lived my life in Jasper, DuBois County, and Indiana. And you're going to be proud of me and help me retire Joe Donnelly. Thank you.